Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the video. I just wanted to take a few minutes today to explain to y'all how exactly I quit drinking and doing drugs, what finally pushed me over the edge, right? And I finally just said, no, I'm done. And the answer to that is perspective. And I know it's a simple answer, but in the video, I will give you a little bit of history on myself and a better explanation on what I mean by perspective. Thanks for watching. There's a million different ways that people are going to tell you that you can quit drinking and quit doing drugs, right? But the hard truth is you're never going to quit until you're ready, right? You can go through as many programs as you want, learn as much as you want, but an addict and an alcoholic is not going to quit until they themselves are ready. And I want to share my experience on what finally pushed me over the edge to quit drinking and quit doing drugs. I spent the past at least 10, 15 years of my life drinking and drugging every single day, and it affected my life in many, many negative ways. Now, I'm not going to say there weren't some positives. I had a great time and did a lot of stupid stuff I probably shouldn't have done, but it was mainly negative, right? Drugs and alcohol never bring anything good to your life. They just don't. It might be fun to go out and party and stuff, but in reality, it's not good. It never turns out well. Anyways, I went to rehab when I was 21 years old for alcohol because I had already developed an addiction to it. And my dad was an alcoholic, but little did I know I'd already formed other addictions that came up later in life. I learned a lot in rehab. You'll learn a lot of great things. You'll do a lot of exercises to help you learn more about why we drink, why we do drugs, and how to quit. But again, you will not quit until you are ready, until in your head you say, I'm done, right? And I didn't start getting to that point. I got married when I was 21 too. Right after I got out of rehab, I got married. Why she married me, I have no idea, but I'm so lucky that she married me and then she stuck around. And it didn't take me it took me up until the past, 3 years or so before I started really realizing how much it was affecting my life and my wife, right? And I was drinking. I went without drinking for probably 4 years after rehab, but I was still doing drugs. I was on and off meth. I would stay on meth for a little while, get back off of it, get on cocaine. I was drinking behind my wife's back, just not every day, right? But after a few years, she felt it was okay for me to stop drinking or to start drinking again because I had shown her I could go without it. That was a mistake, right? And back then I even thought, oh yeah, I can drink. We all do that. We say, yeah, we can drink like regular people. Guess what? Her saying it was okay for me to drink again, which I'm not saying it's up to her whether or not I can drink, but her saying that she was okay with it was a huge mistake, right? It led to her and I drinking together every single day, right? For years and years, we got drunk every single night. And I was bloated and fat and I felt like crap. Plus, I was on other drugs too, right? I'm an addict and I'm an alcoholic. And there's been times when I've been on meth and drinking at the same time. And then recently started smoking weed again. And it was like for months out of this year, I think for probably like 8 months, I was either on Adderall, alcohol, weed, or meth, alcohol, and weed. The Adderall wasn't enough after a while, which that's a whole story in and of itself. And if you're have any questions about medications, prescriptions, or just there's another video I'm going to make about metoprolol as a medication. Anyways, the past few years, it really was taking a toll on me, right? My body I was so screwed up, right? And I was doing meth to stay awake and then drinking to go to sleep at night. But then there's obviously plenty of nights I didn't sleep. But to get back to the point, what really finally did me in is there's a picture right here behind me. And I had got up for work that morning and it's a picture of me and my wife right after we got married. I was really young and I was sitting there and she looked so happy in the picture. And I can't remember the last time I saw her truly happy where she wasn't also completely stressed out about my drug and alcohol addiction. And I sat there and looked at that picture and I sent my sister a message and I was like, I'm so tired of standing here after something bad has happened because of drugs and alcohol and saying, I I'm so tired of picking up the pieces. I'm so tired of dealing with this crap hurting my wife, because it wasn't, just the staring at the picture. It's this, many, many times when she stood there and bawled her eyes out looking at me saying that I wasn't there, and that she was so upset because her husband wasn't there, right? In my head, my drug addict head, I'm like, I'm right here. What is she talking about? Not knowing that, or not being able to see from her point of view that I really wasn't there. It wasn't me, because obviously drugs and alcohol make you do things you would never, ever, 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 ever do. Things I will never, ever do again. And I cannot believe I ever did those things to her. And I can't believe she stuck there with me. Sometimes I think she's kind of stupid for it, but I'm so glad she did, because I love my wife, and that's the kind of partner that you want, because I think she knew that one of these days I was going to have enough. But my point is what finally got me to quit was having perspective, right? Which is a simple thing. You hear it all the time. Have a little perspective. But there's a reason that is a saying. And it's so easy as a human, especially as an addict, to only think about what you want. Because when you're in addiction, that's the only thing you care about is the drugs, right? Or the alcohol. Like, you have to have the drugs and alcohol no matter what when you're in active addiction. So what it finally took for me was to put myself in her shoes and realize all of the pain that I've caused her. And thank God I don't have kids. If we had kids together, this would be a nightmare. But I had to tell myself, I am affecting another human being's life, right? They have the same thoughts and feelings that I do. And I have a lot of thoughts and feelings. My emotions are wild, right? And for whatever reason, I saw how much I had screwed up our relationship, screwed up my life, and screwed up her life. This is not the life she wanted. My wife wanted a normal life with a house, not kids, but her cats, right? Not drugs involved, right? Going on vacations, doing fun things. I did not give that to her. And I can give that to her at some point, but what I gave her was pain and suffering, and, obviously we had a lot of fun. I mean, it wasn't like I was stoned and high all the time, but most of the time I was, right? And I would think it was normal to just light up a joint when we were going out to do something, right? And I saw no problem with it back then, because in my mind, I was telling myself, I need this to calm my mind, because I had no coping mechanisms whatsoever, right? I didn't know how to deal with my emotions, so my dealing with my emotions was smoking weed or getting drunk. And now I can look back and go, that is so ridiculous that I used to do that, because now I have a lot of tools and a lot of skills to deal with my own emotions. And looking back, I can see as a teenager, that's why I went straight to drugs and alcohol as soon as I dropped out of college. Because I didn't have the money to go to college anymore. Even though I had a good head on my shoulders to finish, I didn't have any support, right? As soon as I dropped out, drugs and drinking. I had no idea how to deal with my emotions, because I was never taught that as a child. I love my parents to death, but they just never taught me, right? I am now 30 years old, figuring out how to deal with my own emotions, right? And it sucks, but at the same time, I'm so grateful that this happened, right? And what it took for me was just revelation, I guess, whatever you want to call it, realization that I was destroying my wife's life, right? And there's a million different things other people can tell you on how to do it, but in reality, even if you hit rock bottom, dude, you can hit rock bottom and go straight back to it. It is going to take you seeing with your eyes and your mind and putting yourself in someone else's shoes, your family, and see what you are doing to them, because they're never going to get their life back. They're not going to get a second chance at life. My wife has dealt with me being this way for 8 years. She is not going to get those 8 years back. And there's a whole lot of things I could have done to have a much better life and outcome in those 8 years. My life financially, I am so screwed right now. And I don't stress out about it, because to me, material things don't really matter. I have my wife and my cats, and that's all that matters. But I'm doing cleanup right now. You know, I'm cleaning up the mess that I've made, and it wasn't worth it. And all I needed was to gain a little perspective. Stay tuned for more videos, okay? Because I'm going to go over a lot of stuff. My next video, I'm going to explain, you know, why my drinking and my drug addiction had a pretty key factor into why I continued on. You know, I'm not blaming this one thing, but it's a big reason why I did in the past few years, especially. So stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more tips on how to stay sober. Thanks.